What's going on, everybody? Well, that was a worthless day from an action standpoint because there was none. Okay, that's about the size of it. It was basically just churning up and down, and volumes were pathetic once again. It's the dulcet tones. That's right. Aren't you lucky? You get me today. You get me twice. But look, at the end of the day, the markets are the markets, and you can't change. You cannot change what the markets do. You cannot force the markets to do anything. The markets are going to do what they're going to do, and it's your job to play around them, okay, and understand what you're looking to do. The trend is definitely lower. We're definitely in. I think the markets, personally, as I've said before, this isn't new. 40 to 60% is my take. Okay. Now, again, what do I know? I don't know nothing. I know as much as the next guy, but certainly you're already down, I think 24% in the NASDAQ. So maybe more now after today. I didn't look, but so, look, it's an ugly picture. It has at this point, we always have hope, but there is no hope that the people in charge are going to do what's necessary to help. Okay. That is an obvious absolute that they are doing nothing to help us combat. In fact, I think they're trying to fuel the fire to make it happen faster. So you're going to be stuck depending on the idiot from the Federal Reserve. Now, think about that. Okay. If you've ever watched or seen the Federal Reserve, okay, if you have ever done anything or any research about them, tell me one time they did the right thing. Just once. Okay. I mean, and I don't think you can find one time, okay, that they ever did what was best for the economy. Because what would have been best for the economy was to start hiking 10 years ago, not 10 days ago. So, this is the picture can only get uglier from here between the broken down supply chain, between what's going on in China and Russia and India now. Okay. Where you tell me what's up with the manic coffee? Well, it's look, they're very thin, okay, coffee and the commodities. I mean, look, that's why we don't day trade those, okay? They're very nuts, and they go parabolic and they break. And when you get a little pressure in the equity market, which, again, it's hard to say you had pressure today, but the NASDAQ was down 138, okay? The Dow is up right now. The S&P was on 18. That money's going to go to commodities. It's got to go somewhere. And it ain't going to the bond markets yet. Okay. So look, I don't look at it from moment to moment or day to day. I know it's up a lot today. It was about $10. Yeah. So, hey, I just look at it as just another day in the world of the wild and crazy commodity markets. Okay. That's how I look at it. I think that, these commodities, I mean, what about the wild cotton market? I mean, cotton's been almost as if it's on drugs as well. So you've got a lot of things that are nuts in this world, and those markets are both part of it. Because again, when you get involved with thinner markets that are driven by many factors, okay, you're going to get much wilder swings through those things, and that's kind of what happens. I mean, again, at the price point we're at now, it's like a coin flip, from a standpoint. I mean, I'm a buyer at 50 cents automatic in my sleep, and I'm a seller at $3 automatic in my sleep. Okay. Other than that, the rest of it's just a trade, and we once bought coffee at 42 cents back, I don't know, a long time ago, but again, it's just it's a wild commodity. Okay. You could put it into the natural gas category. But be that as it may, okay, you have a market that is whacked, okay, and that's what it is. So, but it is consistent. Well, there's a lot of drug dealers in there too, okay, and it comes from Brazil, but it is consistent with the rest of the market action. So again, look, there's no absolute to anything, right? I mean, we never have an absolute answer to anything. Okay, because again, I can relate it to news, I can relate it to anything I want. The bottom line is the prices took off, not surprised, especially here. Let's just look at a chart. Okay. Here. And where'd you come down to? You came down to a bottom, you had a crazy up move, you made a higher low and made another crazy up move. Don't be surprised if we're now going to be long this crap, starting tomorrow. I don't know if we are or not, but it wouldn't surprise me in the least. Okay. But that's what you're going to see. I mean, what about the wheat market? I mean, what about that crazy wacko market up limit? Okay. And how many, you're welcome. And how many limit up days are we going to get? They expand the limits every day because they don't like locked up limit, right? But you got a market that is whack, all right? And of course, obviously, a lot has to do with what's going on in general, and then of course with India over the weekend. But we're going to have a shortage in food. Okay, nobody seems to get the big picture that there's a shortage coming. Okay, and you get these. Some of the suppliers around the world are choosing sides now of who they're going to hang with, and who they're going to be beholden to later. But you have a food shortage coming. And now, how bad will it be? Well, that'll really depend on this year's production from our farmers. And they'll listen, they've got equipment now. Farming, when I first started trading, they were lucky if they could get 60,000 bushels of an acre of corn out of the choicest prime, a growing area. Now it's 220s at disappointment, 220,000 at disappointment. Okay. So they can catch up. But again, Mother Nature doesn't have to. Mother Nature guarantees nothing. Okay. Well, the food shortage here will be just a matter of paying more money. We won't be short to eat. We'll be short because it'll be a lot more dough. Okay. And not the dough that cooks with. It's the dough that comes out of your pocket. Okay. So we'll be in that position. Okay. I mean, we're just, again, I wouldn't be surprised if next year you're paying, $6, $7, $8 for a loaf of bread, maybe 10, and again, you can thank your current administration for most of these problems. All right. Because they continue to stay away from doing what is best. And that is allowing the fracking and shale producing. Okay. Well, baby food is a different story again, but interestingly enough, that's the only one they're talking about. Nobody's talking about the global food crisis and where a lot of the poor nations are going to starve. Okay. Think about that for a minute. Okay. Many of the poorer countries that can't grow their own anyways, they're going to starve. They're not going to have food. Okay. We're not talking about luxury items. We're not talking about Nancy Pelosi and her Haagen-Dazs ice cream. We're talking about core food, bread. Okay. Marie Antoinette lost her head over that. Okay. Well, taxpayers, listen, if the taxpayers were worried, they would have thought about what they were doing before they voted. Okay. That's another story. That's a whole nother story. Okay. Everybody knew this was going to happen. This is not what's going on right now is not a major surprise to anybody, I don't think. And at least nobody who's here. Okay. Yes, I did, honey. I did. Thank you. I mean, nothing is a surprise of what's happening in the price of oil. Andy and I said it. Andy's just happened to get here. You yell out when you're in, babe.
I'm here.
Okay.
How are you?
Andy and I said it the day after the election. The Monday after the election, so 6 days later, we said what? Crude was going to what?
New highs.
Right, but we
said 100. It was below 40. We said 100.
Yeah. So again, none of what's happening with these idiots is a surprise. You know, when you have America haters in the squad, you're not going to get relief the way you should get relief. Okay. So again, look, I'm just saying that this is none of this is a surprise, and neither is the higher taxes we're going to be paying. Because what did we say when he came out and said, well, only if you only make over 400,000? And what did we say?
What a joke.
We said, just knock a zero off. If you make over 40,000, you'll be paying more taxes. Okay, so please, anybody who's surprised, that was part of the election. Okay, you voted for this if that's what you voted for. Okay, this is what we got from the results. This was as easy of a call as you could possibly make. What's up, Chief?
Everything is good. Everything is good. But I mean, everything is good health-wise and all that. But I'm looking at everything. And my bitch.
All right, get right into
it. It's right, parallel to what you were just talking about. So I might as well let it loose now.
Okay.
Our president last week, in his comatose state, he said that if people pay their fair share, it'll cure inflation. Is he crazy? I mean, is he crazy? We're gonna make corporations pay more taxes. Who is gonna pay that? That is an indirect tax. It comes right back to the supermarket, to the gas pump, to everything. It makes inflation worse. What kind of crazy economics are they practicing? To me, this is insanity. Even Bezos, who I'm not such a fan of, he responded. What are you looking at? What are you? I don't get it. I just don't get it. It's a populism to this squad. It's insanity. And I'm praying for an election result that puts gridlock. Stop the insanity. Stop the craziness. Just stop the craziness. Because when it comes down to it, if you're going to start going after paying your fair share, let me tell you something. These corporations, they make money, okay, but they also employ a lot of people. And you know what? The employment data is total BS because so many, what are we at? 62% or something of the workforce? A big chunk of the workforce is not even looking for work. They're just taking government handouts or just they've disappeared from the workforce because there's no jobs for them and their skill sets. And it's the there's not even a name for this. It's not Keynesian. It's not Austrian.
It's bullshit. That's what the name is.
BS economic. It's insane.
It's make it up as you go along.
It's crazy. I mean, I feel like we're living in a giant psychiatric center in Washington.
Well, we are. And by the way, Powell tomorrow, no concern. I mean, he's only going to step on his you-know-what as he always does. But listen, they're at a point they have to continue to hike under all. There's nothing they can do.
The big problem, Bubba, is that, and everyone, the big problem is that the tools that the Fed have developed over the years are demand side tools. So, interest rates and things like that, they can be effective tools at times when you have demand side problems. But our problems are supply side, created by political decisions.
Right.
You cannot change the economy from a Federal Reserve or a bank with demand side tools. These are supply side issues. Look, India today, this weekend, they're going to stop exporting wheat. I mean, I think they're the second largest wheat exporter in the world. And I know when I signed in, I heard you railing about food prices. And, we've said it that, wheat is not just, it's a hell of a lot more important politically than crude oil. And the fact that India is now going to, ban any kind of export, this is huge news. And we saw the wheat market, respond to it. And inflation is going to stay here. It's going to stay here. And the thing is, The Fed can't do anything. It doesn't matter. Ignore what Powell says. He has no tools to deal with the supply side problems.
Right.
No tools. There's nothing in his box.
Right.
And raising interest rate just going to complicate it.
They burned all their tools in '08 and they exhausted them as long as they could.
And by the way, let me make a prediction here. You can disagree with me.
I will.
As you're always free to, and I appreciate the banter. And I think everyone else does. But I think that they're hawkish now so they could be dovish later. I think that before you know it, there'll be something happen and they'll be cutting the rates right back down. I think that everything they're doing now is they're making room. They're making room.
I do disagree with that. I think that basically they're forced. They've painted themselves into the proverbial corner, and they're going to have to hike. And unless they do something, there's only one thing they can do, as far as I know, that can change the hiking part, which is to drill oil. And
yes, but they're preparing for the next crisis, because the next crisis is always coming. So what do they do in a crisis? They have a formula. They open the crisis book, and what does it say? Slash the Fed funds rate to zero and start buying debt. That's the next crisis.
Again, my opinion is they will not do that. I think they're fudged. We'll call it. I won't use what I'd like to use. But I think this is what I said years ago when this all started. I said they have no chance to ever do it right, which they won't, and they're going to screw this up, which they did. And here we are once again waiting.
But let me qualify what I said. I hear what you're saying, and you're right, but I'm not talking about next week or next month. We had the 2008 crisis, and it took a dozen years, and we went right back to it. There will be another crisis. So they want to get the interest rate and the monetary policy to a level where they have the ability to do this again when the next.
No, that's a different story. But
right.
They're not going to do anything. They're not going to do this until they get it. And this is not the. Now let's clarify this, Andy. This is important.
Yeah.
The interest rate market that you see, the interest rate market that you're borrowing from, is not the Fed funds rate, which the Fed is talking about.
Exactly.
Because the Fed funds rate is what the banks borrow and used to, before they stole money on both sides of the equation, used to pay the interest on. Now the Fed pays the interest for the banks, but that's something for later. But so you're seeing your rate when you look at a mortgage, it has nothing to do with the Fed funds rate. It has to do with everything to do with the 10-year notes. Okay?
Right. It has 10 years and out.
Now everybody understands that the rate that they're talking about is the rate to banks. And the banks are happy about that because they get the widener spread.
Right, exactly. Let me ask everyone out there. Look at your bank statement. How much is the bank paying you interest now on your deposits? They're making, the higher the Fed fund rates goes, the more they're going to make, because they're not going to kick it back to you.
We got a note taker. We don't need you to take notes, and I don't know who you are, so I'm not actually interested in what you're going to put in there. So I'm gonna take it out. Okay. I don't need you to take notes, sir, or whatever, whoever you are. So are we going to talk strategy about regarding precious metals and mining companies? What do you want to talk about? Good. You want to tell me how manipulated they are? What would you like to talk about? Go ahead, Andy. You can start. You've been involved. You were the biggest silver trader in the world at one time.
I will tell you, I think that inflation is here. I think that these listen, we follow trends short term. So we are short those precious metals markets right now. But I will tell you that every penny I make on the short side, I plow into the physical, because I think that eventually we will be long. And I am either flat precious metals or long precious metals. And when the trend following says we're short and I take profits on that, I buy physical. That's what I believe. And I think that the mining companies are going to go up and down. They're going to underperform on the downside as they have, and they're going to outperform on the upside as they have in the past. And I think that's, we're in just a cycle here. That's my view.
Right. No, I'm so sick and tired of hearing about the manipulative theory and everything else, because at the end of the day, the prices will be higher.
Right. And by the way, assume everything's manipulated, because everything's manipulated. It doesn't matter. The price is the price. Make a decision on the price. Right. Forget about it. If you start thinking about manipulation and whatever, you're going to make mistakes.
I try to I try to make that point every day when I write. And I said, and if you're investing, you shouldn't be watching day to day. It's immaterial.
Right.
And if you're trading it, then you're trading paper and you don't really give a rat's ass.
And you're going with trends. Right. Right.
What do you want? What would you like to talk about? Again, this is what winds me up almost as much as anything else. Okay. Yeah, you're taking notes, Ken. That's right. Okay. And nobody else.
Listen, with the precious metals, they're the same as everything. Everything is manipulated in one way or another. That's just the way the markets are. I mean, there's forces that it doesn't matter. Take that out of the equation. Don't even think about that. It makes for great copy. Oh, silver's manipulated, and now the banks are pushing the price down, and JP Morgan is showing. It's all BS. Who cares? It doesn't matter.
Right, exactly.
It doesn't matter. Whether the U.S. has 8,000 tons of gold in Fort Knox or it doesn't, does it matter for the gold price? No, the gold price is going to go where the gold price goes. And the trends, sentiment is very powerful. And how do we look at sentiment? The chart tells us what sentiment it is. When the charts are leaning lower, the sentiment's bearish. When they're leaning higher, the sentiment's bullish. That's all you really need to know.
And the only truly fraudulent market, okay, is the fiat currency market. Okay.
Yes, of course.
Because they're not only they manipulating price, but they're taking the money out from the manipulation.
In the interest of stability.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a different story, but it still trades and it still takes price discovery. No matter what they're doing and how they're getting there, you still have to have a buyer and a seller, because if it was truly as manipulated as you guys would like to make it sound like it is, it would be at zero right now.
It makes for a great reality show. It makes for a great drama, but that we don't live in the world of drama. We live in the world of reality.
Exactly.
And reality is that what's right in the coffee market. What's reality? Reality is that those numbers and that those patterns that you see on the chart in front of you that Bubba has up there.
Reality is the current price. That's
right. The current price is the only thing that matters, and the sentiment, the trend, is what we follow, because that's what tells us what's the path of least resistance.
Why would it matter with the algo, Jim? It plays price discovery. Again, please, I don't want to make the whole show about ridiculous manipulation, which it doesn't really matter. Okay, again, you guys are making a big story out of nothing. Okay, we've made a fortune trading gold and silver over the last couple of years. So manipulate it or not, I don't really care, do I? And I'm buying it at every opportunity.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So listen, you just have to.
I can't.
You have to put that manipulate. You know what? It evokes the emotions that we try to avoid. Manipulation. If you think about it too much, it makes you angry. It makes you.
It makes me angry.
Fearful. It makes. Look at how angry it makes Bubba. How agitated it makes. Bubba.
It makes me angry not because they think it. It's because they can't get past it.
Right.
You still have to have a buyer and a seller. That's
right. That's exactly right. But fear and greed. Fear and greed. Those are the things we try to avoid. Let's say fear and greed and the word manipulation, because manipulation doesn't matter.
Exactly. So this India thing is a big deal, obviously. And, wheat will expand limits tomorrow. What's your take on wheat?
I mean, we've said it all along. I think that wheat's going to go to a new all-time high. How it gets there, I don't know. I mean, we could be short and long 5 times before it gets there. But that's a big deal. India's banning saying they're not going to export wheat.
No, I mean, does that fit? Now, if I said to you, we had that one run, I don't know, a few months ago, we were up 4 days in a row limit. Can this lock limit 4 days in a row, in your opinion, because of this?
It could, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Again,
look, in the world of wheat, I think it's China, it's Europe, and by the way, when they say Europe, that's part Ukraine, China, India, Russia, and the US. Those are the big wheat producers. You take Ukraine out of Europe, you give Putin the tool of the wheat market, and you take India, who's sitting in the middle of this whole geopolitical situation, out of the equation, and you have them getting very protectionist with their wheat. We are not going to starve in the United States. We're going to just pay through the nose or through the other end. Right. But in Africa, in the Middle East, in poorer countries, They're going to starve. And that means there's going to be geopolitical tensions. And China will sit back and say, geopolitical, this is a perfect time for us to go in there and take control. So this access, this alliance, Russia, China, is very dangerous in this situation. They're going to gain a lot of power.
Yes, I was showing the coffee chart, but I really didn't care. We weren't really looking at the chart. We were just discussing and having a conversation.
Right. I was just referring to
we'll look at all the
chart.
charts shortly. Okay.
You could have had a chart of anything up there.
Yeah, I could have had a chart of well, I can't say that, but anyway.
I know what you're going to say.
You're right. But in the meantime,
more of a picture, right?
So look, at the end of the day, the markets, I think, are in trouble. Equities are in a lot of trouble. That's what I think. I've said it all along. And again, we got 24% down in the NASDAQ. And I think 50 is going to be a no-brainer.
Yeah, equities are in a lot of trouble, Bubba. And you have this guy in Washington, back to my bitch, talking about the companies have to pay. They have to pay, and we have to stop manipulating. They have to stop. He uses the manipulation word, and they are going about this in all of the wrong ways. All of them. I mean, I will tell you, if every impulse they had in Washington, they just did the opposite, we'd be in great shape.
George Costanza. Let me ask you this question. Okay. So if they wanted to make everybody pay the proper amount of taxes, we won't say their fair share, but the proper amount, okay, what would they have to do?
Flat tax.
They'd have to change the tax code. But they don't want to change the tax code because there's so much crap in there that allows them to take more of our money.
Right. Flat tax. That's it. That's always been the answer.
Now, again, let me get your take on this, Andy. Okay. Now, the Democratic Party, I don't want to get real deep into politics because A, I'm a libertarian, and B, I don't want to make the whole call about politics, but I want to ask Andy's opinion on this. Okay. The Democratic Party, from when I was growing up, as I remember correctly, was really this champion for the small guy, right? The small business.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now they've systematically taken and destructed with their policies and what they're doing now. They've destroyed all small business.
Yes, because I mean, it's not the Democratic Party of our childhood, Bubba, and that's the 60s and 70s really, was, as you said, the small guy, the small business owner, the middle class. And the Republicans were always kind of, the upper class and the wealthy and, the kind of US merchant class, Wall Street. Now, it's the Democrat Socialist Party. It's the Communist Party, much more so. It's much more everyone, if you really got down to it and drilled down to it, what they really would like is everyone to have the same income and everyone to live the same meager existence, and there to be no upward or downward mobility. And that just destroys every principle that this country was built on. That's my opinion.
There will be no change in gold and silver trend today. I can tell you that without looking. Okay. This rally was nothing. It wasn't big enough it wasn't big enough to budge anything. Okay.
No,
we're down. We've been short since I forget the date, but since 1908, I think. So we're not even close.
Definitely not enough to change today.
No.
I mean,
we're going much lower.
Listen, the gold bugs, any up day, it's, follow the trends, folks.
Yeah, I mean, so.
And by the way, gold and silver do stupid stuff. Just remember, put this into your little calculator in your head. Silver in March 2020, it broke. It looked disgusting. It went to 1174. It was horrible. It looked horrible. And all of a sudden, 4 months later, it's $29. And you know what? If you follow the trend and you follow the algo, you would have been short going into that, and you would have been long before. You would have taken big chunks out of that. We're not looking to buy lows. We're not looking to sell highs. We're looking to take the meat out of moves, and that's what's critical.
Right.
So
and the Democrats,
and right now, what we're looking at right now is we're looking at a market that is in bearish mode right now. Listen, we dropped from 2070 down to 1800.
Right.
That's a big move.
Right.
And what do we capture? Half of it? That's okay.
Just remember this. that we're seeing the small business being destroyed as they continue to wear, as she wears her dress that says tax the rich. I mean, think about it, okay? Because those are important. If you looked at it forget about your political view. If you looked at it logically, what they're saying is like an imbecile talking.
Right. It's tax the rich, ... except me.
And so we can steal more money. And again, both sides of the aisle steal equally.
Right. I want to know what happened. I read over, I guess about a month ago, they released the tax returns. They released the president's tax return. And I'm looking at it and I'm saying, where's all that money, that the big guy got? Where is that? Is that tax-free money? Was that tax-free, Bubba?
Listen, when you're a politician, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or an independent, or whoever you are, look at Bernie Sanders. As he's going to a workers' conference, he flies first class.
Of course.
To help the workers, there he is flying first class. Of course, we get to pay for it. So we get the privilege and the honor of paying for his flight first class. Okay. Look, it's a joke. It's simply that the system, as we were taught it in school, has broken down. Both parties are crooks, and that's why they like to spend so much time being elected. Again, I could name as many crooks on the right and on the left, then that doesn't matter. But I do know that what they used to represent, neither party represents it well anymore, which is why there's such a wide divide in this country. And
so much hatred in this country.
It had nothing to do with President Trump, all the hatred. The hatred's been here forever.
That's right. I mean, look at what happened in Buffalo, in California yesterday.
Terrible. It's only going to get worse, Andy.
No, I know. I'm just saying this is the tragedy that breaks my heart. Everyone is judging everyone else. Everyone else is. It's hard. I told that story about I didn't tell you that story because it happened on Wednesday. One of my stepson's best friend's mothers was killed here last Wednesday night.
Right, you did tell me that, right?
I told you, right? Yeah, but I didn't tell the listeners.
Yeah.
I mean, this woman managed a bar here in Las Vegas, not in the worst neighborhood, not in the best neighborhood. Some guy came in, he stole someone's pocketbook. She ran out after him, and he killed her. And this guy, this is a mother of two kids, gone from this earth. Murdered. This is the crime is out of control. The hatred is out of control. The racism is out of control. And you know what? I really think that the government is like spurring it on.
Oh, I agree with that 100%.
They're spurring. They say how horrible it is, but they plant the seeds that create it. And I don't blame it on Trump. It was here before, like you said.
It's been here. Look at. Again, I can actually speak to it. And I'm not getting into it. I've done it before, but I grew up, they hated Jews, and I was involved in integration. Okay. And if you remember the movie, you remember the Titans, that's what it was like in my neighborhood. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I had the other side. I was also Jewish, which was they hate the Jews too. So it wasn't a pleasant time. Anyways, let's get to business. The dollar, big boy. There you go. 105, it peaked, and here we are. And it's going
on its way to parity.
This dollar, again, can 104 to 105, but we're not sellers, we're buyers. Now, the value, again, Andy will say this all the time. He'll say, what more does it buy you? Okay.
It's a mirage. It's a mirage.
Right. Okay. So, when they start asking me when I'm doing some agricultural stuff, well, the dollar's higher. Why aren't the grains lower? Well, why would they be lower? There's a big demand. When you have to buy something and you're in a supply demand market, if you've got the goods, they're going to pay anything for it. Okay. Right. So, look, 104 to 105, but I ain't selling this thing. I mean, they're by far not done going up because listen, as for now, the dollar is still the reserve currency. For now,
I'll be back in 1 sec, Bubba. 1 sec.
Good. So for now, the dollar is a reserve currency, and that's not going to change. Okay. How do you tell when politicians are lying? Their lips are moving. J.O., you're the best. I mean, again, they're all liars. This is the problem that we have because we don't have term limits. Again, there's a million reasons why. We could have a whole show just on this, but I don't like any of them. So it doesn't matter. I don't like McConnell. And I think Paul Ryan was probably one of the dirtiest of all of them, but he quit because he knew or he felt what Trump was going to do in his second term was going to put all these people in jail, but he never got that far to do so. Anyways, 104 to 105, and the euro currency. Look, it was rally today. Oh my God, my goodness gracious! Look, this is going first to parity, and I think then to 88 cents. Okay, there is no question in my mind. This is as weak as it can get, and there are so many issues out there that it can only get weaker and worse. I see no hope that this will ever turn. Again, at some point, like everything else, it'll find a bottom at some point, but I think that bottom's a long way away. But our first general target will be par or parity, okay? And the trend is obviously significantly lower, and we are still short this. And again, I don't see that changing anytime soon. Again, we'll be coming to another rollover, and I think we'll still be short, okay? And the levels here, I mean, I would suspect, obviously, we got to bounce off of like 103.70, but I'd be looking to be a seller at 105.
I'm back to say you're definitely gonna be right when 88
cents.
80s.
80. There you go.
The 80s.
All right. So, look, at the end of the day, right now I got a little bounce. So, but 103 is like supportish, 103.50. But what I'm looking for is 105 to sell. Okay. And the Bitcoin, I don't know. Did this find a bottom? I don't know. Look, this is a unique animal all by its lonesome.
I tell you, one thing made me nervous on this last week.
Yeah, what?
So Coinbase in their disclosure said that the coins that they're holding for people in a bankruptcy, you could lose them. So that's kind of scary, and that's kind of I think that the most recent weakness came on that, and I think that that's the whole thing here is, look, this thing was a speculative frenzy. It took it from 5 cents in 2010 up to almost $70,000, $69,000. Right now, there's a lot of stuff out there. When Coinbase says, and they're the biggest exchange, when they say, oh, in a bankruptcy, you could lose the coins we're holding for you, that makes people nervous. So I think that what this is suffering from is a lack of interest. And we're in a bear cycle here. So,
yeah, I think that makes sense, right? I mean,
I think it'll change. I do. I believe in this as you do, longer term. But I'm not picking a bottom in this thing. Could it go to 10,000? It could.
I mean, look, when regular brokers, which trade here, is going to start offering in the crypto world to trade, and you can use it in your account, and it will count as margin as well against other positions. To me, that's being recognized as more reality. Now, again, it doesn't mean that the price is low. Remember, not only are we seeing a pretty ugly sell-off everywhere, certain products are not excluded from this sell-off. And, when you need capital to cover margin calls, if you happen to have Bitcoin, that's a big chunk of cash to sell a couple of coins to cover some of the margin calls, so there's a whole slew of things that go on. Don't kid yourself. Some of the gold sell-off might have been for margin calls as well.
That's right.
In the meantime, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say that's why we follow trends, because we don't know where bottoms are. We don't know where tops are. So with Bitcoin, look, if Bitcoin's going to 10,000, it's very expensive at this price. And if it's going to rebound and go to 40,000, it's very cheap at this price. So we don't. That's all. That's all crystal ball stuff. All we know is right now the price $29,785. That's what the fair value is, because that's what the market's.
That's what the market says, and we're still short. Again, I'm still long, in my Coinbase account.
Get it?
Okay, but again, I don't look at the Coinbase. I don't care about the Coinbase account. Okay, I'm not selling whatever. I'm never selling what's in my Coinbase. If it goes to zero, so be it. I'm trading it every day. Or,
but did it make you nervous that the Coinbase said that you could lose in a bankruptcy? Does it make you more apt to go out and form a wallet and stick them in there?
No.
Okay. I'm just saying some people I think are doing that.
I probably should do that. I think they call it a cold wallet. I don't know enough about that crap, to be honest.
What Jack Dorsey, he's working on this thing called the Rock. Have you seen this?
I've heard about that. Yeah, I've heard about it. But again, I'm lucky I can remember my passwords for those things.
I know, me too. I forget them 10 seconds.
So again, I'm not worried about Coinbase. Coinbase is one of the few that if you have cash there, real cash, not invested in cryptos, it's insured through FDIC.
Yeah.
So
hey, by the way, we should talk a little bit just for a minute or so on this stable coin situation, which also, one of the stable coins decoupled,
yeah, go ahead.
it became unstable, right?
Right.
It's pegged to the dollar. All of a sudden, it's worth 18 cents on the dollar.
Is that
So
Luna you're talking about?
that also scares, that scares people. But I saw one of the CEOs of one of these stable companies coming in and saying, oh, the government should bail us out. And to me, that rubbed me the wrong way. I'll tell you why. Because the whole premise for this asset class is that it flies above or below the radar of the government.
Government free.
It's libertarian, right?
It's a government free zone.
They're asking for this CEO is an idiot as far as I'm concerned. You're asking the government for a bailout? No, I'm sorry.
No,
crypto, you can't have it both ways.
Crypto is supposed to be a government free zone. We don't want them involved in it.
Right. You cannot have it both ways.
All I know, Andy, is this. Okay. I actually passed the Constitution test, right?
Uh-huh.
And I know that the original Constitution was the federal government was supposed to be the smallest of the branch and more of an overseer.
That's right. And there were no taxes.
The biggest employer in the world.
The government didn't tax. There was no tax. When did taxes come into play?
I don't know, but whenever it was too soon.
Right.
It's too soon everywhere. And just one last question about taxes and about government. How come all the tax states that make you pay a fortune for nothing are always busted and all the tax-free states have money? Can you just answer that?
I would say that's a red and blue, not a black and white issue. It's a red and blue issue.
Anyways, look, in Bitcoin, we're short. Okay. And I'm not a buyer on the board, as they say. The board is the futures market. I'm still a seller. Okay. Now, if I were going to look, would I buy some more in my wallet at Coinbase? Yeah, I do. I'd buy a little more. I don't care. Again, I'm investing when I'm willing to lose is the same as if I went to the poker room and lost there.
Right.
Okay.
Again,
that's the way I look at it.
But you're going into the Bitcoin with the same, let's say you go into the poker room with $300 in your pocket.
Right.
And you go in there and you say, I'm going to either walk out with more or I'm going to work out with nothing.
Right.
And you know what? I'm okay with both.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. And
but
I'm
that's
okay.
the mentality that you must have with cryptos.
Listen, if it went to zero, I wouldn't be happy, but I wouldn't lose a night's sleep, and it wouldn't prevent me from eating a meal nor going out to dinner.
That's
it wouldn't
because
change my lifestyle.
why is that, Bubba? Because you balance your risk and reward, because you know that you're risking whatever you're putting in Bitcoin because you think that the potential reward is much bigger than the risk.
I know that I'm pissed off.
And you're not risking more.
I know that I'm pissed off. I wanted to buy it, and my kid that worked for me bought it every week from 2010, and he retired with about $100 million. Anyways, if you're looking at it, look, 28.5 looks like it's some support, but certainly, obviously, 26,000 is in play. Okay, the only thing you can hope for is this is a rounding bottom. Okay, if you're going to play now, otherwise, I would wait. Okay.
Also remember, it's a new asset class and it's highly volatile. And now that the speculative frenzy is kind of over it's been over since, the thing's been trending lower. Liquidity is much lower. So if liquidity is lower, because you don't have as many people in there, the volatility is going to go up. Less liquidity equals more volatility. True?
Yes. Income tax was started to fund World War I. The fund the war.
Okay. So 1918. Right. Okay.
In the meantime, the bond markets, look, this rally was nothing. We, in fact, I said I'd look at 139, 140, and next week it goes high as 142. We got to 141 and change. Look, I'm a seller.
This is a bear market.
Rally them up, take them back to 141. I'll give them some. I already sold some there. I'll sell more. Look, I'm going to sell these, as they say on the trading floor, until my hands bleed.
Right. And what I said at the beginning was that the Fed is making room so they can do something again. I'm talking, Bubba is very short term. I'm more long term. I'm saying the next decade they can cut.
Well, that's because
right now, this bond, my new level, 127.23.
That's because
the 2013 low. That's my new target.
Anyways, support you can see is probably at 138. Look, I'm not buying it there. Again, I'll trade it. Okay. But I'm not buying it there to hold it. I'll trade it for a day. I'll trade it intraday. But
Right.
I'm
I
not
mean,
buying it.
there's no reason why, when you get what looks like a blow off low, that you can't take a long position. But when you're doing that, you're doing it with a plan. You have a risk level and you have a reward level, and that's it. Correct?
100%.
Right.
Gold. Okay. Oh, it bounced. Well, again, this is, look, for my money, I'd be a seller here. The reason I didn't sell today, I'm very simple. I'm already short, right? I'm long. Listen, I'm long in physical. I'm short the board. The only reason I didn't sell today is because 90% of this rally came after the markets were actually closed. And when I'm talking about close, I'm talking about the pit market, right?
Settlement price.
The 12:30 or 1:30 Eastern time. Most of this rally came after that.
Yeah, the market said gold settled at 1814.
Here, the rally started. This is noon. The rally started at 3 o'clock Eastern time. The market was already closed for 2 hours. Believe me, I would have given a lot of thought to selling some should I had been involved. In the meantime, we're still short. 1800 appears to be the pivot once again. It dipped down to about almost 1780. But right now, hell, I'd be a seller at 1830.
Yeah, I mean, I peg critical support about 1778-ish.
Yeah, that'd be about right. Yeah,
but can it go low? Anything can happen in this thing, and the trend's lower. So that's the path.
Right. Exactly. So in the meantime, right now I'd make this 1780 to 1830. Okay. And I'd have no problem selling more at 1830 right now. Okay. And I like gold long term. Again, I'm gonna buy some more. I'm always a buyer physically. Okay. Silver, a little bit of a bounce, but again, is this a pattern that you really want to buy into? I mean, here all you're doing here is
a falling knife. That's a falling knife with a little marginal bounce.
All you're doing is creating a speculative. You're taking a gamble that this is the bottom. Okay.
Yeah, you're picking a bottom. You're using your ego instead of your head.
I mean, those of you read my stuff at Kitco, I said 2050 was a number that was critical, and we got to bounce off of it. Is this the real bounce, or is it going to fail? I mean, silver at $22, I would seriously consider selling more. Now, I will give you as I always do, I'll give you full disclosure. I'm not as active nor aggressive in silver because it's much thinner than gold, and the tick size is much bigger than gold. Okay, so I don't necessarily like to put myself in a position in markets that are not all that liquid when you need them. Okay, so. But again, I would certainly look at 22. I'm not saying I'd do anything. Whereas in gold, I would 100% be a seller. Okay. So just keep that in mind when you look at it. Platinum, I don't know. It held 1,000. It bounced. Now it's headed back lower again. I mean, 900. Sorry. Look, I think 900 is major. If it breaks 900, God knows where it's going. But so far, it's been able to manage to hold this. But certainly the pattern is still ugly. Even the rally to 1,000 was nothing more than a blow off top. Okay. Look at the volume. You can see the discretion in the daily volume. Okay. So what does it mean? Okay. It was a perfect opportunity, should you choose to sell platinum, to sell it, but it's not liquid enough for us to trade it as a group. So we can't. And certainly I'm not, to me, platinum at 900 or 1,000 is like a $10 stock. I don't like to short them down at those levels. Whether it be the right trade or the wrong trade, I don't want to think about it, especially because I love the metal in general.
Yeah, the one thing about platinum is I do believe, because of Russia, that you're going to see automobile catalytic converters move more from palladium towards platinum, because platinum's South Africa, palladium's Russia. I think that's a fundamentally supportive reason. But
well, we're going to look.
Platinum has just disappointed people horribly for so long. It's a very difficult metal.
I put palladium in here somewhere for you, but I was typing. I actually happen to remember. I remember the symbol, so I can actually look at it there. I mean, this has been. Remember, we were talking about it way back here. Oh, it's going to the moon. It's 3,200. We don't trade it because it's not liquid. And all of a sudden, that's when we were talking about maybe the chip shortage could be over, and suddenly, oh, here we are. We're down, 30%. Yeah, I mean, look, we don't trade it. It's
30%, and it's trading at 4 times the price it was trading at in 2016. So,
exactly.
And platinum, where is that compared to 2016? It's double. Okay. Right. So palladium's still strong compared to platinum. Very
right. I'm still strong compared to platinum.
Yes, that's true. Anything is strong compared to platinum.
Copper, a little bit of a pop today. Again, look, it got down to what, 403 and popped up, and now we're at 425. We're still short, and I would suspect we'll still be short. To me, again, and you'll look at it from the longer term view and from the fundamental sides, from a straight, pure technical read, this rally was crap on no volume, and it was due based on you came down from 475 to 403, almost straight down.
Right. But I will make this comment about copper, and I made it last week.
No, I know what you're going to say.
Technically, it's a very obedient metal. So 397-ish is the level that it went to in last August, on the correction from the first new all-time high. So I think that that's a critical level, and my gut tells me that that will hold because it is very obedient.
And it wouldn't, right. It's very technical. It's like the currencies are very technically oriented, and they trade very well technically, almost on a regular basis. So, but at the end of the day, we're still short. I would look at this at 425. And again, I'm not a buyer, but I would suspect if it gets down to $4, you'll get a bounce off of, the whole numbers tend to create bounces anyways, or sell-offs. And I'd assume you get a little bit of a bounce, but right now we're just in a wide sweeping range. And if you look at the last 2 days, although they've been both higher or green, they're really still inside the one big down day, which occurred last, 12th? Was it Wednesday? Okay. So again, at the end of the day, or Thursday, on Thursday, it had a big down day, and we're inside of those days, which is just another form of consolidation.
Yeah.
Okay. So $4 to 425, I would be more inclined, if I were going to do anything, to sell more, but I'm not encouraging you to do anything. Again, these are big products that move big dollars, and you want to be careful if you're adding on extras.
Yeah, Comex is putting out copper minis.
Oh, sorry, what?
Comex putting out copper minis.
Really? Good.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's good for us.
Yeah.
That's great. Hopefully they'll have some liquidity. Corn, look, we're short corn. And when we got short, I came out, at first I was on air with Chip Fleury on Market, and I said, I hate it. I said, actually, when he came to me, I said, Chip, I'm perplexed. I have to be short corn, but I hate it. I'd rather be long corn. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think,
look, again, I could see this coming.
but you'll be long before it goes to the $10 level where you think it's going.
I think it might go higher, Andy. Honestly, I now think I'm now rethinking what I thought because of what's going on. In the meantime, at the moment,
it's got to go to 10 before it goes to higher.
We're still short. I'm not so sure we'll be short tomorrow. This is an awfully juicy move today, and based on this chart. But for now, again, remember, I cannot confirm what I'm telling you right now because I don't know where we're going to be. But to me, we're like 790 to 820 now. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
we're short below 790.
That new all-time high at 844 or around there, or fraction. That's a powerful magnetic force. So
was corn up today because it should have been up? Was corn up today because of wheat? Or, again, there's a lot of reasons, but I don't really care.
Well, price action, right, exactly. Corn was up today because the price was higher.
I don't use a stock screener. I just pick them out and then I look and see if I want to trade them.
Listen, it was almost a perfect storm for corn today. You had oil strong,
right?
Gasoline strong, and you have wheat strong. So that's like a perfect bullish storm.
Exactly. And so again, 790 to 820, and soybeans. We're short. Now this looks a little bit better, but again, I don't really want to be short soybeans either.
No, you don't. Especially, listen, that complex, it does tend to move together.
Okay. I would prefer to be long them all. Now, I'm not as upset as I would be if I was short at $3, because see, in my mind, I'm going back to the old days right now because I can't equate yet what the new $3 is. But before, in the old days, a year ago, $3 was an automatic buy. I didn't give a crap where it was going. So I'm buying at $3, and I'll put it in my own silos, as they say, right? I'll put it in my own storage. But I'm not selling corn at $3. And I don't know what that means.
Well, if the dollar is worth a third of what it was back then the new $3 is $16.
Well, yeah, right.
I'm sorry, the new $3 is like $10.
Right. So we'll see. Again, it'll eventually establish a number. Just like there's every commodity, because commodities are not companies, because commodities don't have earnings reports, because they don't have the CEO sleeping with a secretary and getting a lawsuit. Okay. Commodities are just commodities. They're raw commodities that trade. They're consumable goods, and they're going to trade. Okay. So when I look at certain prices, and again, I don't have them as much as I used to have them, because I now really just follow the trends as we talk about. But there are certain numbers that I'm an automatic buyer. Okay. Just because, again, I can't imagine they're going lower unless we're going to stop eating and we're going into the megaverse to get special pills to eat. In the meantime, soybeans.
Don't forget soybeans. Soybeans also, two
Oil.
products, meal and oil. And the soybean oil is critical ingredient in a biodiesel fuel. And diesel is the one that's been under siege,
Well, they're rationing diesel now.
Right, exactly. So, soybean has basic fundamental support from the energy sector as much as corn does.
So look, at the end of the day, I'm short. The levels are 1620 to 1680. I'd rather be long. Okay. But I'm not. Okay. So there you go. I give you full disclosure of exactly where I'm sitting. However, wheat, I am long, which covered up the losses from soybeans and corn today. And I don't know, this could be, now again, this is going to be interesting to reaction tomorrow.
Before you go into wheat, let me just make one quick comment.
Good.
When it comes to soybeans, the average, I look at the crush spreads. I'm a fundamentalist. I look at the crush.
Right. I don't blame you.
The average crush spread, from like dating back, long time. The average crush spread between 80 cents and $1. Okay. So the crush spread now is at $1.66. And it used to be when the soybean price would rally, the products would go down because people would, there would be like the demand, the elasticity of the price. People would not buy as many soybean products, or people would find substitutes. The fact that the crush spread is double what the long-term average is telling me that, demand is robust. And, that's very supportive of the overall soybean complex.
You said last week that the move down in crude was very fishy because the distillates were all making highs.
The cracks was so strong, right?
Right.
You said that last soybeans, same thing.
I mean, those were your words last week, as you said that they're making new highs. That's a problem, and that means that this sell-off is just temporary, and it certainly was. So wait, look, there is no resistance right now because we have no idea where it's going to be tomorrow. Now, they will expand the limits. I think they go to 85 cents tomorrow. And if that gets taken out, they go to $1 the next day. I don't remember. I know they just came out with a new bulletin. Okay. But either way, I can't give any level because I have no idea where they're going to be. And this is when something moves limit and locks for hours, it's harder to talk about. So right now we're long, it's going higher, and we think it's going to the all-time highs and probably much higher than that. This is going to be interesting because it's going to see, as you just saw what India just did, and now with Russia and Ukraine still at war, that's a lot of wheat.
So you think that Putin is not going to put his pedal on his pedal to the metal to try to squeeze the world on wheat? Of course he is.
Well, listen, this is nonsense. This goes back to the same.
So they were stealing in Ukraine. One of the stories I read, the war stories that comes out, the Russians were stealing caravans and big trucks of wheat, taking it back across the Russian border. I mean, come on. And the other thing is, forget the crops, there's the port, the Black Sea ports are huge exporting hubs for wheat and barley and corn. And hey, that's a war zone. There's not a lot of economic activity in those. There's more military activity in that region. That is not bearish for these prices.
Right. I mean, there's no telling, what is going to be the end game here. But again, I can't really say anything about it because it's hard to fathom what's going to happen next. But you can bet that, the sanctions are not working as they would like you to believe. The rhetoric that we get here is that Russia's in default, and they are far, far, far from default. Okay.
Yes, and Sweden and Finland joining NATO is not going to make the thing calmer.
Right.
It's not. Well, I'm not commenting whether it's the right move or the wrong move. I mean, I think it's the right move, but I personally, my political bent. But is it going to calm the situation? No, no,
Absolutely not.
no way.
Absolutely not.
No, it's going to make it worse.
In the meantime, feeder cattle, look, it's down along the bottoms. Okay. Again, I believe, this is my opinion, that the cattle markets are directly correlated to oil. And the oil market, when oil runs up big, even though feeders were up a little bit today, when the oil markets run up big, it puts pressure on cattle because, again, what you're really discussing is the consumer's budget, okay, and where they're going to go with their budget and what can they afford to eat.
And then let's talk about that with the meats for a minute. It's the worst of all worlds for the producers and the consumers. The producers face, prices that are not really moving with the rest of prices, but their input prices are enormous. And
Right.
consumers are not paying at the supermarket these futures prices that you see. They're paying extremely high prices for meat if they want to buy them. So the futures markets are a bit of a mirage here for the producers and for the consumers.
Right. No, I agree with that.
Yes.
So again, we're coming up to some key support around 156. To me, it's 156 to 159.
Mhm.
And fat cattle, again, a little bit of a rally today, but look at it. I mean, it's down around the Swanee River. It's down at the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Which
and
we're short.
wait, we got the beginning of the grilling season a week away or so.
And we're short. Well, look again, they're going to grill pork, Andy.
Right, but seasonality doesn't count because you 2022. Anyone who thinks this is an ordinary year should have their head examined.
You've got too many things going on, and this is going lower. I would suspect 134 is the top. It's going to go now. Look, things can change and can get better, but
then again, if you're one of those producers who have those, these cattle, the cattle carcasses or whatever that you're selling to the processing plants, you're not getting top dollar for it, but you paid top input prices for it.
Yes,
and the processing plants are processing it, and it goes to the supermarket in terms of ground beef or steaks or whatever it is. And let me tell you something, those prices ain't cheap. They ain't anywhere near what the board is showing.
You paid more than top dollar for it, right? I mean, listen, it's criminal what's going on here. Okay, hogs. Listen, what I tell you last week, I guaranteed you we'd have a limit up rally, and we had it on Friday. It's followed through today, and notice where it came from. Gee, shocking that it was really, although it went to 98 cents, it really came to the buck, and that was where it closed above. That's kind of a key benchmark level to watch. Now we're short still. Again, I'd rather be long right here.
I think you will be probably long, but we'll see.
I mean, again, I'd rather be long here because, again, I can see exactly what I'm expecting. And but again, I'll wait.
I'm expecting this thing to trade in like a $1, 120 range.
I agree.
Yeah,
because 120 is a little bit pricey.
Yeah,
you got to remember, the comparison to the others. That's now we get into a comparison level. So is poultry still under trouble?
They got the bird flu thing and all. Everything's expensive.
No, but I mean, poultry had jumped about 80%. Because of the bird flu, and I don't follow that.
Julie and I went to Albertsons on Friday night, and we saw they had some chicken wings. They wound up they're like more like hummingbird wings. They had no meat on them. They charge us $1.75 per wing.
Okay.
So you tell me.
Yeah, not good. So natural gas, it's still going up. I mean, look, it drifted down. But look, notice where it came to, just exactly where we drew in our line. And we said that it's too high. There's going to be some pullback, but the trend is certainly higher. And I would suspect before it's over, it takes up $9 too.
Right, let me ask you a question. So the government cancels leases on drilling and fracking in Alaska. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay, thank you.
No, but they never make sense. So in the meantime, we're still long and 750 to 850, but I'm not a seller. Okay. Look, I'm not selling this until it's time. 750 to 850 and crude. Look at this. Okay.
Just a little fundamental. 18.6% below last year. natural gas stockpiles, 16% below the 5-year average, and Europe's starving for it.
Right. And we'll only see, when we get towards the end of summer, we'll get one cold snap and you'll see prices you haven't seen forever.
Yeah, you'll see. I mean, the all-time high was 1565, 1570. You'll see it higher than that. But that doesn't mean you should run out and buy it, because let me tell you something. The route there in natural gas could be head spinning.
They could carry you out first.
They could carry out 3 times.
In the meantime, crude came right down to our support level and $13 rally.
Beautiful pattern of higher lows. I mean, look at that.
No, like I said, it's unbelievable. And again, it'd be no surprise to see some pullback, but for now, 106 would be a level I might look at to be a buyer. Obviously, I'm a seller at no price, except on a daily basis. In our, we trade futures together in the morning. I might look to sell, if it qualifies to be a sale.
I think we'll see 150 crude oil before the end of 2022. I
agree 100%. Well, in the meantime, today, 106 to 115. Cocoa, I got a little bit of a bounce, but it didn't change the overall bearish sentiment that this has.
It's a horrible market going nowhere fast.
And you had listen, commodities are going to get a lot of new money when you have the equities falling. They run first to grains, but they also find some of the other commodity markets.
Today you had a huge day in the softs, and cocoa didn't really it went up. It didn't really participate. You had a huge day in softs today.
Yes. Look at cotton. I mean, cotton came down, curled around, and of course we're long cotton. If we go back to our theory, 45 degrees.
Right.
Okay, came right down around the near bottom. Boom, off it goes. And I won't be surprised if this week it takes out 155.
Oh, I expect it to.
No, I just said this week. Again, I don't know. Look, at the end of the day, this is a commodity you want to be long until it's proven different. That's all. Now, again, we're getting pricey, but is it really, the real question is it really pricey?
Well, if the dollar is worth 1/3 of what it was worth, then cotton is at $1.50, it's 50 cents.
We'll get to the VIX, but yeah, I'll let you know. I'll have to make you understand. Don't worry. And sugar popped pretty sharply and kind of filtered. Look, we're short sugar. Maybe we won't be short tomorrow, but it came down to what level was 17 something?
1760.
All right. I mean, it's definitely not out of the woods. Remember, when markets get too overdone to either side of the equation, they're going to move sharply in the opposite direction to at least release some of the tension that is built up in these markets.
And you have to remember that sugar, corn is the ethanol in the United States, but Brazil is a very populous country, and cars in Brazil run on ethanol, and that ethanol comes from sugarcane.
I can always count
that goes into the ethanol is not available for export.
I can always count on the cat that come up with something good. Won't commodity prices drop when Biden fixes inflation?
I like that.
Look, I'm gonna put it this way, okay? And that was the title of Bubba's Bottom Line this week. Okay, we're in trouble, and I think the government's trying to help us get in more trouble. That's my opinion. Okay. In the meantime,
excellent title.
OJ, look. I mean, we're short OJ. It's been, OJ is, again, very similar to the Wild West of trading. It flies all over the place. I knew it was a little bit pricey. Okay. And again, we benefited from the way up, and we got short, and obviously we're underwater at this moment.
There was a reason they picked OJ from trading places.
So a wild maniac.
It's a wild commodity.
And coffee, which we are also short. Okay. Look, it had a big move. Now I would now bet that we won't be short after tomorrow.
No, I would say we're not sure. We would.
And it's not as now again, we're not surprised. We thought we could see back to the 170s, 180s, but certainly it isn't a surprise that it held, around $2 and is taking off again. We still both believe that's going to $3, I believe. Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was in last week's Technomental. I was definitely very bullish on the softs. I think that, look, that the longer term picture here is very inflationary, and that's bullish for all these prices. Now, that doesn't mean
It's
they're not
especially
short.
bullish for the soft commodities as well, right?
Yes, and because they're wild, Bubba. You know that.
I know. Listen, that's why that's why it's hard to day trade them.
Yeah.
Because they're thin and they're wild and they open up at odd hours.
Right. Crazy hours.
Lumber, look, we don't trade this. It's impossible to trade. We do watch as a bellwether. And again, it's working its way lower again, but it is obviously, we're past the halfway retracement part here, but I don't know, somewhere here it'll probably hold. Maybe
I think so. I think we're close to a bottom. You remember before 2018, the highest price that wood futures ever traded at was 493.50.
Right. And to answer your question, the VIX, and then we're going to move on to the next part of this call. But look, the VIX was tipping off. First of all, I said, and Andy agreed last week, that the VIX was too high. And not too high because it can't go higher, but there was probably a relief sell-off coming to play. And I think that's what we saw. The VIX was basically down the last 5 days.
Right, and we both agreed that the new base for the VIX, which when we first started doing this show together was like at the 10 level, is now between 20 and 25.
Right.
Right.
Now, today you saw the VIX that was down, although the markets were lower, which told you that you probably weren't going to see a devastating move to the downside. And certainly the Dow was up on it there. Maybe it closed lower again. I don't know where it exactly closed, but the S&P kept going between positive and negative, as did the Russell, the only index that was almost constantly under pressure, but that made a big rally and got positive at one point today also, was the NASDAQ. Okay. But what this is telling you is that whatever selling we're seeing is done very orderly and not under any pressure.
Right. And remember what the VIX is. The VIX, they call it the fear index. They call it the VIX is just option implied volatility. That's all it is.
Exactly right. And
it's really, there's no gap. You are not guaranteed if the stock market goes down that the VIX is going up. You are not guaranteed that. And you're not guaranteed that it's going, if the stock market goes up, that the VIX is going down. It depends what happens in the option markets.
You are guaranteed nothing in the market unless you're
that's right.
Deck rules,
death and taxes.
Expectations, but you're still guaranteed nothing.
Death and taxes.
Right? In the market, you're guaranteed nothing.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, and the markets do guarantee you if you don't follow the rules, you're going to lose money.
Right. But we did suspect that you would see some pullback in the VIX.
Yes.
Okay. And now, look, if we start picking up and selling and you start to see some bloodletting, you're going to see this thing spike back up. And if you look at it from an objective standpoint, you're consolidating between 27 and 34. And we could take out that high with no problem.
Yes.
Okay. So again, just remember that, don't get too interested in, are you not, what you want, the ruble you want? Is that what you're asking about? I'm not sure I don't have no idea what that means unless you're asking about the ruble. Okay. Are you not today? I don't know what that means. Okay. If you explain to me, you got to give me, I'm not that smart. I need details of what you want me to do. And I'll look at it. In the meantime, the VIX, again, I'm not surprised at all. We expected it to go lower, and that's where it went. Okay. All right. In the meantime, we're going to stop this part, and I'm going to clip the recording here, and we're going to get the second part going. So just bear with me for 1 second. Let my girlfriend give me her usual happy words to say. Thank you, darling. Okay. And yes, we are. Chat above me. Are you? I don't know. I'm from the government. I'm not sure. I'm too busy to go back and read all that. In the meantime, welcome. What's up? It is Monday. It is the Monday Night Call, which has become the Monday Night Marathon. I think I'll have to rename it. But I've talked a lot of strategy already, and we'll obviously continue to talk more after we go through some of the more fun things, and actually some things that are very much on point. Okay. And that, of course, is our words of wisdom and my bitching, which I get to do all day long. But Ronald Reagan, we don't have inflation because we are living too well. We have it because the government is living too well. Now, could anything be true, Randy?
That's a great comment.
I mean, did they not take a raise during the middle of COVID when nobody was working?
Oh, of course they did. And you said in the first segment, Bernie flies first class.
I mean, they took a raise.
Nancy Pelosi eats Haagen-Dazs, and she's got a $200 million nest egg, and
And she went to the beauty shop when we were supposed to go in.
AOC is driving a Tesla.
So again, look, at the end of the day, again, I don't trust the government, either party. I don't have a party, because the libertarians could never get a reasonable candidate on a ballot, because it's hard to get it on all 50 states. And so basically they give you Coke or they give you Pepsi. Okay. You don't get no RC Cola in this country.
I'm different than you, Bubba. I mean, I ascribe to a lot of libertarian principles, but I'm an R because it's the worst of the two evils for me.
Well, right. Yeah, agreed. Now, Tom put this in the chat room today. I thought it was really funny, so I added it. Forget piercings, tattoos, speed tickets, and coming home at dawn. If you really want to shock mom, get a job.
I like that. That's good.
I mean, there's so many jobs open, and they're paying minimum double, 2 to 3 times the minimum wage, and yet they can't get people to work.
Hey, I heard that. I read a thing today that said that Walmart is hiring college grads for their management program at $210,000 a year.
Yes, I will give you levels now, Ken. I'll give them all when I get there, 100%.
You heard that one?
They're taking college grads. What? I missed that part.
They're hiring them as store managers, $210,000 a year.
Not bad.
Walmart. That's not bad.
Listen, because you go to a Walmart, there's nobody else there except the one at Walmart I went to. That there was 20 people standing around. There was 40 people in line, and nobody would work because it wasn't 8 o'clock yet. And then they started at 8:10.
That's so reminiscent of when I used to go to Russia, and I would go into the stores just to check it out. I wasn't going to buy anything. I just was looking and seeing how they lived. And this was in the 1980s. And I'd walk in and they'd have more employees than people in the store, and they have absolutely nothing to sell.
Right. I mean, so again, but anyway, I thought this was great. Tom, thanks.
That's great. I love it. I love it.
Never let someone who has done nothing, tell you how to do anything. Now, could you ever say anything better about this imbecile? Okay. I mean, she's a hater.
Insulting imbeciles.
She's a hater of this country. Okay. I mean, the squad is haters of America. Otherwise, they wouldn't be trying to get done what they're trying to get done. Okay. What they're doing.
You know what they do? You know what my biggest problem with them is?
Yeah, go.
They take issues and they twist them to appeal. They're very good at sound bites. So
right.
They'll take an issue. For example, the Supreme Court issue. I don't know, whatever side anyone's on. What the Supreme Court is discussing is whether it's the right of the state to make this decision or the right of the federal government. And it seems that the opinion was that it's the right of the states. It's not that they're banning.
Do you have an opinion? Did you care to share or no?
No, I'd rather not, because I don't. My opinion doesn't matter here. But what I'm trying, the point I'm trying to make, Bubba, is listen. I respect life. I love children. There's plenty of people who can't have children. I don't want to go into that. But what I'm saying is, the issue before the Supreme Court said, should the states make the decision or should the federal government? And they're turning it into, they're telling you what to do with your body. That is not the truth.
Right. Well, they don't.
This is my problem. They are manipulating. You want to talk about manipulation? Forget the silver market. Look at the government.
Right. Listen, J.O. put it best. How do you know a politician is lying when their lips are moving? Okay.
Who said that?
J.O., he's one of our guys.
Okay. I like that. I got to remember that.
In the meantime, to all of our people who serve this country, from the police, fire to military, thank you. Look,
God bless them.
And this is getting worse. And I have a bad feeling that we're going to have more active duty pretty soon.
And please keep them safe.
I mean,
keep them safe.
This is a tragedy, what we're watching here. The greatest country in the world, and it's still the greatest. And I'm obviously hoping among hope that we get things back.
Bubba, when we last August, when we were on together on a Monday, when Biden ran like a chicken out of Afghanistan, we both said this is a very bad sign. We both said that. And a lot of people in the chat and the questions, they agreed with us. That was a big event.
No, I know. And again, America is still the greatest country in the world.
It is.
But certainly we have really done a lot of damage, and I'm hoping, and again, that's part of our military. And unfortunately, I believe that there may be a call, and I'm not happy about that either. But for all of you who served us, and again, police, fire, all the public servants, and especially the military, we thank you because, again, you guys work for no money, put your risk on the lines every day for what? For us. So thank you.
Anyone in public service deserves
A big thank you. That's right. All right. Russia fires a big warning shot, gas sanctions on the EU. How do you like this? See, now this is where
surprised.
No, this is what I keep saying. I got kicked off. I was doing some hits in Moscow, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And for RT because they're no longer here.
Right.
And so I did a couple, and they kicked me off because I wouldn't agree. And I told them that the war was garbage and it was stupid. Okay, in my own special way.
Right.
And this is all bullshit. Okay. And of course, the girl who texted me, who I think she lives in Miami now, I texted her back. I said, well, that'll be it for me. They'll never have me back in. I said, thank God. I don't even want to go back on again. Screw them. But in the meantime, this is not a surprise. This is what I talk about all the time. The sanctions that the U.S. has put on them is bullshit because until you hurt them in the pocketbook, until you take away money from them, they're not struggling at all.
By the way, India and China together, 3 billion people. The world, just under 8 billion people. So it's a big piece of the world. Both of those countries have economic relations with China. that tells you all you need to know.
Right. Saudi oil giant Aramco's first quarter profit surged 80%. Gee, I wonder how that happened. Was Biden fixing the oil problem again?
Right. He hates the Saudi royal family. He's very angry at MBS, and he's filling his pocket. Let me tell you something. To balance the Saudi budget requires $75 to $80 a barrel in oil. At this level, they are making mint. I mean, huge money, huge. And that's going to continue. And it's going to even be bigger.
Right. Because,
by the way, Apple is no longer the world's biggest publicly traded company.
Aramco.
Right.
It's funny that, just the other day we were talking about all this stuff. And the big news a few weeks ago was, Saudi Arabia, they're going to pump out more oil. And I go, well, yeah, it doesn't make sense. We're coming right into driving season. They need more oil. It's not going to affect the price.
Right. They're going to pump out just enough to keep the price as high as possible.
I paid $4.77 at Costco the other day.
It's not bad.
Yeah, not bad. Anyways.
I bet you it's over $5 today.
Probably. World's food problems piling up as India restricts wheat export. Again, why isn't this not in the mainstream news? Okay. Why are we not hearing about what's going on in the food markets? Okay. Tell me. Can you help me there?
Because the press is very tied to this administration and they will not put out bad news about this.
No, really? Yeah, it's bullshit. Genuine free money.
Wait. Is what I'm saying bullshit or is it?
No, I'm saying you're right.
Yeah. I know. It's disgusting. It's disgusting.
You're 100% right. And free money, Fed sale. The banks don't pay interest to the Fed anymore. The Fed picks up the entire tab. Now, where did we get this at? Now, this goes back to when I was enraged when they bailed out the banks in 2008. Okay. And I kept fighting with every stupid ass economist that I would talk to. And those days I was doing a radio show still. And I go, they're nuts. This is the dumbest thing ever. You want to bail out the depositors. There was enough banks that were strong. What business do you get to go into that you get to make money, win or lose?
And you know what the amazing thing in 2008, when you look back at it and, you look at what happened, they not only did they didn't even do it fairly. They cherry picked who they were going to allow to survive.
Yeah, well, they put Lehman out on purpose.
Lehman, Bear Stearns, they cherry picked that.
100%. Okay. Anyways, the words of wisdom from our friend Connie: you always pass failure on your way to success. Mickey Rooney. Look, there's nothing more truthful. Do you think that successful people only have success? The hard part, when you learn to accept the failure, it makes you stronger and it makes you better and it makes you able to survive the next thing.
It makes you smarter. I mean, we learn from experience.
I mean, again, this is so spot on, my dear. And of course, your State of the Union, I have as much authority as the Pope. I just don't have as many people who believe it. Or in this, her was the president, right? I mean, we all have the same power, but who do they believe, right? I mean, again, right now, many choose to believe these current bozos that are taking control of this country and running it into the garbage can. Okay. Now, hopefully we'll see some changes, because again, I don't like it when any party has all three houses. I don't care who they are. I want some friction in there. I don't want this, this what's going on right now. Okay. And of course, I've been bitching for, I don't know, 2 hours already. But my final one, which is the medical profession, the insurance that forces lousy service. Now, I don't go to the doctor much. I'm pretty much I self-diagnose, and if I want to get something done, I want to get something done. And this all started last week. I needed to get a script to get a blood test and a specimen. And I go, just send it to me and I'll take it where I want to go. No, you got to give it. And so I'm arguing and arguing. So in the meantime, I'd called the doctor in Vegas, which is where I'm at right now. And so they called me back today and they said, well, what kind of insurance do you have? I go, I got Blue Cross. They go, no, you got to have Blue Cross Medicare Plus or we can't take it. I go, yeah, because I have a concierge doctor. However, if it's something that's going to be more than just to see him, okay, he can't give me any referrals to go anywhere else because Blue Cross doesn't allow them. Okay, I have to have a doctor that's in the network that can make referrals. This is the dumbest thing, and why we the American people get screwed at every turn on everything. Okay, so go ahead. What?
I said that's unbelievable.
I mean, it's a joke. Fortunately, I got 11 months to Medicare.
Right.
Anyways, so as we go back to markets, now that I've done,
you still won't have the same insurance as Nancy Pelosi.
I'll never get that. That's too good for me. Okay. As we look at the general markets, right? So we always use the YM for the Dow, Yankee, Michael, and look again. Gee, the Dow has been the strongest of the bunch, which is not bullish, that is bearish. It did go down to 3,100, which is 31,000, which we thought was a real possibility. I think now 32.5 is resistance. I'd be a seller, but not without thought. Okay. And 31,000 would be support. And I would not be a buyer there unless it got there and a blow off and it was just strictly a day trade. So in other words, 31,000 to 35,000. I mean, my apologies, 31,000 to 32.5.
I think that the most bearish thing about the stock market, Bubba, and these indexes is the slow bleed that we're experiencing. I think
right, it's like you get worse.
You don't get the blow off, you don't get the bottoms, you don't get the spikes, and this is like a slow death, and that's the worst kind of market.
In all factual matter, I love it that way.
No, I know. No, it's great for trend following.
Yeah,
you're right, but I'm saying,
I agree.
In terms of people looking for bottoms and looking to, this is the worst possible situation for passive investing.
And it's got to get worse, right? I mean, earnings cannot. I don't know how they're going to spend next quarter. I have no idea how they're going to spend this because they don't have enough goods to create anything. But in the meantime, 31,000 to 32.5, and the S&P, under 4,000. It went below, came back. 3,900 looks like support, but I assure you this low is getting taken out before it's all said and done. I think it's 3,900 to 4,100, and certainly at 4,100, I would be a seller. I'd probably be looking at 40.50 as my first real sell spot in here to add on to more.
And don't discount the chances for rip your face off rallies in this trend.
100%.
You're going to get them, but this is a beautiful bearish trend.
Yeah, 100%. And the NASDAQ, which is the biggest disaster of all, is brutal. And I would say, probably 12.6 is resistance. 11.8 is some support. But I think we're down 24% or 25% now. Tack on another 25%. That's where my eventual, I think we're going.
And you know what? The thing from March 2020 through the early January high, it was the best performer, and now it's the worst. Are you surprised the valuations of these companies got too stupid?
Right. They get out of control.
Right.
And the Russell, Romeo Tango Yankee, it came right off support. Not a surprise. We had drawn that in. Okay. And again, so here, to me, 18.20 would be a great spot to sell more. Again, these markets look horrible. Okay. Now, again, at some point, they're not going to look horrible. But now they look horrible. And all you're really looking for is when they get too dramatic and they get too far oversold, they're going to be a rip your face off rally. It's funny. I called for one. I actually put it down to a time, Andy. I said, on 10 o'clock Thursday morning, we're going to see the start of the rip your face off rally. And it was funny. At 10 o'clock, they started rallying and then they stopped. But of course, we rallied later. And then, of course, Friday we rallied. But these are, to me, these are opportunities to sell. What the rallies mean in a downtrend, first of all, they're vicious, they're fast, and they're big. Those are opportunities, and you have to be patient enough to wait. Okay.
Yeah. And the progressives, it's interesting. The progressives all say, hey, these people made fortunes during the pandemic in the stock market. Well, they're giving it all back now. Are they, but they're still on the same mantra of stupidity.
Well,
We have no campaign issues if the stock market goes down. The bottom line, this is the other thing is, I have a lot of faith in this upcoming election because people vote with their pocketbooks. That is not going to change.
no, I don't think there's anything they can do to change that. Okay. So Apple, Alpha Papa Lima, which we are short. Okay. And by the way, we're short all the indexes. I think I forgot to tell you that. We're short them all. Okay. So, but in the meantime, Alpha Papa Lima, which we are short as well. And we came down to 140, which I thought we could get to. So now I would suspect we're probably going to churn between 140 and 150 for a while. Okay. But again, look, Apple's the greatest company in the world, but it doesn't mean it can't go back to 100. And I'm not saying that's where it's going.
It's the second greatest company in the world.
Well, yeah, but I think that, again, I would suspect that I'd like to be a seller at 150. Okay. And again, remember, when I give you a number to sell, it means if it gets that number, you have to look at it and make sure that the parameters look the same and that it has not really changed the direction. All right.
Let me ask you an ironical question.
Yeah.
So we as the US, we were a tech leader and we were the energy producing leader in 2020. So we gave energy over to the Saudis and now they have the top. Who are we giving the tech to?
China.
Okay.
Listen, China's having the best time of anybody. Okay. Because everything that they're doing now here is accelerating their 100-year plan.
That's right. And the food shortages will only widen their sphere of influence.
Right. I mean, and again, I go back to the Shanghai shutdown, I called it. To me, the same as the virus was BS and a man-made virus. That shutdown was only to do one thing. It was to continue to disrupt the United States and the supply chain.
Yes, and I thought it was very interesting. Last week, I read that China was they bought 40,000 tons of frozen pork for their strategic reserves on the dip in the hog market, and they're doing everything right.
How do you feel?
And we're doing everything wrong.
Well, how do you feel about our drugs being made in China?
It's despicable.
I mean, you imagine you can see, a mass murder they can put in those drugs. I don't know. Anyways, 140 to 150 on Apple. We're still short. Alpha Golf, which is, again, it's really in the portfolio. We are short. Okay. It really isn't. I don't necessarily like being short this at $8. Okay, it's really in here to be long because obviously you can see it came from 1450 and it's almost halved since. Okay. It's a silver miner. And look, at the end of the day, I would not be a seller here. I'm already short, but I would not be a new seller here. Okay. But certainly
I wish they'd do a reverse split.
Well, that'd be good. 850, 820 is resistance, but certainly, again, I do not sell stocks at these prices. I'm not the big guys that want to fire in on these things and try to beat them to nothing. 745 to 850 or 750 to 850. Look, I'm only looking to buy this, and I will not be a buyer until the silver trend changes or until this trend actually changes, because it could change first. In the meantime, it looks awful, but a little sharp rally, at the rate of speed in which it's come down, this is way too fast. Okay. So don't be so surprised if it kind of goes sideways for a while here. Okay. AMD, Alpha Michael Delta, which we're also still short. And this is perfect action for another big push to the downside. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that would be my suspicion. Because why? Well, it resolved the too quick sell-off by consolidating. So it's going to make a decision. Either it's going to change and break its way back to the upside, or it's going to continue the downtrend that it's in. And I see If I could look back at this looks almost identical to this, and we see these plunges, consolidation, and then a continuation. I would expect, based on everything I can see, as a continuation. I would certainly be a seller at 100, if not sooner. And certainly 82, 83 is probably the support level. And let's see what happens down there. So Kenny will make it 82 to 82, make it 82 to 100. Okay. Baba, which has earnings coming shortly, is awful. I mean, again, and the beautiful thing about this is if you look at this as the downtrend, which it is, okay, a little bit of a rally back to 93 would not be a surprise. Okay. 80 will probably hold for a little while as the chart and everything catch up, you know, but again, earnings could be a driver here.
I heard a lot of buy recommendations on that stock today. Not that I like it. I'm just saying I heard a lot of buy recommendations today.
Yeah, well, probably Charlie Munger's out there trying to get rid of his stock.
Yeah.
You know, he needs money for retirement. He didn't make enough. Okay. Anyways, 80 to 90, but I would certainly not be surprised. I would bet American dollars, even though they're worthless, that it takes out the low. Okay. Bido.
The beta on that stock. Let me tell you something. If we do get a spike down, a stock like this is going to be so ugly.
Yep. 100%. Bido, which we have not made a trade in yet. And again, I think it won't be a trade for a long time because they cannot get enough open interest, enough action, and the dated futures. And this is directly correlated to the futures market. So it's hard for me to want to get involved. Now, I will only say this to you, that if you're looking for a way to play the crypto world or play Bitcoin, this is a way to play it at a risk. Okay. That's, again, we have no information. The trend is certainly ugly. We don't trade this anywhere, but it is directly correlated to the futures. And because they don't have the ability yet to create enough interest throughout the curve, it's hard to read if they're handling what they call backwardation and contango.
Yeah, you know, I've been struggling with this. I've been looking at this, and I've been looking at BitQ, and I'm saying, is it going to be like commodities where the mining companies and the others outperform when this thing turns? Or is it going to be that the Bitcoin itself is the big performer?
We don't know that.
I've been struggling with that. I've been trying to think about that.
You know, we can't get an answer because we have no, you know, like crude oil, you can go look out the curve, right?
Right.
Grains, you can go look out the curve.
Right.
We have a lot of information. Here we don't have it. Here we're dependent on month to month.
Right. But also, you know, grains have been around for centuries.
Yep.
Oil's been around for over a century.
Yep.
You know, this market's been around for 10 years.
Yeah. So
even less. By the way, these products have been around for
this product's been around for 6 months.
Right. But I think that you know, thinking about that, it's a good thing to think about, because what are the pick and shovels going to do better, or is the actual commodity, the Bitcoin, going to do better? That's kind of what I've been thinking about.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
I don't have the answer though. BitQ, which we also don't trade, again, it's one that I own, and I own it because it's just another way to try to own Bitcoin. This is Bitcoin Soup, which has a lot of the miners in it, and the miners have been getting clobbered. The two we cover, Mar and Riot, are just getting destroyed every single day.
Yeah, okay. This is exactly, and these are the assets. In asking myself that question, these are the two I've been looking at: BITO and BITQ. Which one?
I mean, this is down almost 90%.
Oh yeah, it went from $36 to $8.
Okay. Chewy, which we do carry a position, and that position happens to be short, and it continues to head lower. And again, certainly the trend lower, a quick dip, and now we consolidate a little bit. Now this has earnings in the next week or two. I don't remember the exact date, but it doesn't matter. You know, we're short, and you know, for my money, it's probably 24 to 30 or so would be where I'd be looking at it. 24 to 30. And I would certainly be willing to sell. Now, again, if you don't trade this regularly, stay out till after earnings. There's no point for you to get involved in the middle of earnings, because earnings can do things that are very strange. Okay. So don't get involved. But the company certainly looks like it's in trouble. This is starting to look like the remnant. And you and I both like it. We both use it. We're both customers.
I like it as a business that I frequent.
But again, who knows? This could be another DraftKings or whatever. In the meantime, 24 to 30 coin. Oh, well, you know, I own this, and we are short in our portfolios, and we have been short since I think 200. Okay. In the meantime, look, again, it's going straight down. Earnings straight down. Maybe it'll find a level here at around 50. Okay. For my money, 50, it's 50 to 75. Now that's a big range, but I'm just going to show you something.
I think what I said in the pregame about them coming out and saying that in bankruptcy, they might not be able to return customer holdings. That was bad for the asset class, and it was bad for the stock.
Right. Now, just for example, so you understand what I'm talking about, for this week alone, for the next 4 trading days, there's a $10 move priced in. If you look out to June, I mean, there's a $25 move priced in, up or down. That's 50%. Okay. So again, can it move that far ahead without issue? 50 to 75. Okay. DraftKings, this is just pathetic. We're still short this as well. Look, it's drifting into the abyss, and I own it, and I quit adding shares to it. Okay, I still hedge it, but it looks horrible. I mean,
funny. So last night I like hockey a lot. I'm watching hockey games, and they get the DraftKings commercial on it. They're still giving away free money. Bet $5, we'll give you $100. How are they able to do that? How could they do that?
Well, listen, obviously they have a lot of funding behind them, but eventually that's got to run out. I think, as you said,
what Tillman Fertitta, he did a deal with them. I wonder what's going on with that.
And they also bought VEASAN.
Yeah.
Look, I can only say this, okay, that if they don't get taken over, I don't think they make it.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we're at that point now because, again, the part I missed, and I openly disclose that, is that their profit margins can only be, if they're perfect, they're about 5%. So they're steady, and they don't have to depend on anything but players playing, and they're certainly getting that. Now it's going on California on the docket on the November election. Of course, they might be too dumb there to vote it in, but in the meantime, look, we're short, but I would say, probably $10 to $15 would be levels I'd be watching, but I'm really not, I don't really want to buy anymore. I mean, if I had a whiff of something good, I'd consider, but right now, to me, it's a bad bet. Facebook, Foxtrot, Bravo, we are short. Okay, we were long. We got hurt a little bit on the long side. It's really just in consolidation. This is interesting, and I think what I'm expecting here, very much like the rest of the NASDAQ, is if we're to break to the downside again. This is, a very, they're pretty much the sole operator in that space. But there's a lot of issues going on, and there's a lot of problems. And besides, they hate Zuckerberg, and you've seen the stock get not have, but almost have. Okay. And certainly a break to the downside would be no surprise. And
Apple's privacy rules really hurt their earnings.
So I'd be a seller at 220 without thinking about it. Okay. And I think if 200 doesn't hold, you're going to see this low get taken out at 170. So that's how I look at this. But for now, we'll call it 180 to 220. First Solar.
Zuckerberg won't be homeless though. Don't worry.
No, but Zuckerberg sold a ton before it ever came out in the dark pools. So, and
he's been selling he sells every day.
Yeah. So he won't have to worry about that. In the meantime, First Solar, which we're still short as well, continues to get destroyed. Now again, I think it's probably gone down just a little bit too fast. Okay, from the last dip down, but certainly we are now once again, and you'll see this common factor. We're testing some very important lows in all these markets. Okay, and I do believe that those lows are going to get taken out. Okay, and when they get
these stocks, the other thing is that you look at all these stocks that we cover here, they're down a hell of a lot more from their highs than the indices, and that should tell you something.
They were so overvalued. Everybody was so excited. It was like stealing, right? You just kept making money. Just let them keep leveraging out and buying and buying and buying.
What's her name? Kathy Wood, ARK Investments.
Oh, yeah.
Innovation funds. They just set up, I think they set up the first ETF that goes contra to her. It takes us a huge insight.
How's she doing?
She's not doing so.
I think she's on 80%. In the meantime, watch 60 in this thing. But again, I'm not a buyer. Let's be clear. Okay. I would rather be a seller at 70, but I'm going to certainly take a peek at it at 65. Okay. And GDX, look at this. Now, It did have a bit of a bounce, but look at the destruction in GDX from 42 to 30 in 3 weeks. That's a move. And that's as Andy calls it, the elevator shaft to the downside.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now it made one pause here and consolidated for about a week or so, and then it continued and flushed again. Okay. Now, obviously 30 is huge. Okay. And we'll see. I don't know if it's going to hold there or not. We're short. Okay. So, and we will remain short until the trend changes. And it ain't changing today. I can almost guarantee that. Okay. For my money, I'd be looking, if it somehow creeped up to 33, I'd look to sell it. And I am not a buyer of this. Look, if you're buying it and hedging it and putting it in your portfolio, okay, I can live with it. But from a straight out buy, I have no interest. I don't trade this one anyways myself, other than in the portfolio. Why? Because for me, it's not exciting enough either way. Okay. So there's other things I'd rather trade than this. But 30 to 33, Goldman Sachs, Gulf Sierra, well, we're still short. And this looks like it may go through 300, through 300. It tried. Okay. And again, the pattern is very bearish. The sell up down to the 300 level got a little bit too far away. I would expect some consolidation until, for today, 300 should be some support, but I ain't buying for sure. Okay. But at 320, I would give them some. Okay. So 300 to 320. IWM, India Whiskey Michael, look, got a little bit of a bounce. You know a bounce is going to come. Don't be surprised. Again, I can't see what's going to happen the rest of this week, but don't be surprised if we get a big beat down in the next couple of days. Don't be surprised if like Thursday or Friday, you don't see a rip your face off rally. Okay, those come. Those are part of bear markets. That is what makes bear markets so exciting. Okay. She bought Coinbase. Yeah. I mean, listen, like I tell you, at the end of the day, all the geniuses know shit.
Who's that, Kathy?
Yeah. She's
got Teladoc, Coinbase, Tesla. She got all the.
Jim Chanos right now is the hero of the world.
He is. He's amazing. He's short DraftKings. He's short Coinbase. And look, he made these declarations at very high levels.
Right.
And by the way, I'm not so sure he's still short DraftKings, because if you're Jim Chanos and you ride this thing down to $10, do you need the last $10?
You never know, right? In the meantime, IWM 170 is some support. I'd be a seller at 180. Okay. I'm not worried about the rip your face off rally. I don't think it'll come from here. I think the rip your face off rally will come after another sell-off. Okay. And we are short. Mara, look at this. Jeez Louise. This was just 80s. This was just 80 some dollars. Look at this. Look, my partner friend who trades this like every day, or used to trade every day, said $6 or less. So I believe her. I'm with her. Again, we're shorted. There's some support right here, as you can see, but more than likely it's going to just consolidate and break down again. Now, if Bitcoin breaks out, it can change the dynamics, because these guys are miners. And I think, Andy, I think you said this last week or a couple weeks ago, that the energy cost is going to be killing.
Destroying it. I mean, they're getting on both sides. They're getting the price of the coins they're taking out are trashing, and it's costing them more to take them out. So,
the only thing I can say to you, look, we're shorted, but if you're looking, and this is just another way to try to play Bitcoin. But again, this stock, we originally started covering this and Riot at about $6.
Right. Total gambling. And it went to where?
They went to 85, and the first bit Riot went up much bigger than Riot. Then Riot got into trouble and was underperforming, and then Mara went up to like $85, and now they're both in dread.
Yeah.
Okay. And Neo, November, and Oscar. Look, again, Chinese electric vehicle. We're still short. I don't see any reason to even think any differently. I would certainly look to sell at 15. Again, I'm not. Now we're getting to the point where I'm not excited, right? I don't get excited at these levels. How much can I make? I'm certainly not going to put on enough tonnage to make a lot of money at these levels. So I tend to shy away. Now I carry it in the portfolio, so I am short. But again, as an outside trade of something else, where am I going to make my money here? Where's it going to go to zero? So I'm very, I don't get actively short 10, 12, $15 stocks. I'll trade them in the portfolio because that's just part of the mix. And I'm using risk reversals for that anyways. But at the end of the day, I'm not a big fan. But I don't think this has any hope. I think this is dead in the water, like Nikola is now, and like all the others. Okay. In the meantime, for today, 1250, 15, 1750 is the farthest I can see it going. Nugget, November Uniform Golf Tango, and again, it looks just like GDX, just faster.
That's what ugly is.
And because it's 3 times or 2 times the value. All right, look, again, we're still short this as well. 40 would be a level I'd look at. Again, this would be, here's what you're looking at. If you trade this, A, you can only carry it for a couple of weeks. Okay. But B, this is if you're trading it now, you're saying, okay, I can pick the bottom and go. Okay. And if you can do that, then hey, this is a good play if you can pick the bottom. Unfortunately, remember that these leverage ETFs, it takes them a lot more effort to go back and regain what they just lost because they use a multiplier. That's how they become leveraged, and they're multiplying against a smaller number. Okay. Just keep that in mind. In the meantime, 40 to 50 is what I'd be watching. NVIDIA, which we're also short.
The next time that one gets to 84, Bubba, will probably be after a reverse split on the downside.
I would not agree. I would not disagree with that at all. NVIDIA, which we're short, and look, it went straight down, and now what is it doing? It's sitting in a consolidation pattern. I think it's going to sit probably 160 to 180. And look, I'd look at 180. Okay. I'm not in a hurry to sell it at 180 because again, the pattern is a little bit too steep. I would love to see if it could pop to 200 and take a look there. For today, 160 to 180. And then the other part of the going out of business group is Penn National, Papa Echo November. And again, this is under the same problem as DraftKings. They overspent, they overindulged, they don't do enough business. They can only make 5%. That's the bookmaker margin. Okay. And they're not open enough places. Their handles are big, but they're not big enough. Okay. So we're in a real problem. And I heard a very interesting story about this is part of Barstool Sports. And I heard a very interesting story about what happened in Colorado, that a guy walked in and wanted to make a bet. And this guy was a player, right? He's a big player, bet 3,000-4,000 on the game and whatever. And he went to the guy at the counter, and the guy, big burly chested, said, well, whatever you want. And by the time it was all said and done, they wouldn't accept his bets as they said they would. And then they offered him, they changed the price before they let him bet it. And then they would only let him bet a portion of it. So again, this is one of the problems in some of these operators. They're very, they don't want to, they think more. And again, it's a quirky thing. In the meantime, we're short, and certainly 32 would be probably a spot to add on. I'm not going to. Again, I'm long and short this. The Qs, Quebec. Look, ugly. 298. You imagine we were in the 300s. We're up almost to 400 or over 400. I would say 310 on the top side. I'd be happy to sell it there. To me, you're probably looking at about 285 as the next support level, in which that's where I might expect the rip your face off dead cat bounce from. Riot, look at this, $7. We don't trade this anywhere. It's just one we've covered. Now again, you want to gamble? This is a way to gamble. $7.
Getting close. Didn't he say the level was $6?
Yeah, I mean, this has made the round trip. It got all the way to 80 from 6. Look at this. So
trips, right?
And this is a minor. I forget which one's in Vegas, but it doesn't matter. They're struggling mightily. Okay, and that obviously has a lot to do with the price of Bitcoin. It has a lot to do with everything. In the meantime, it's ugly. Okay, and I wouldn't be a buyer at any price unless you're looking to gamble. And I'm not going to sell this at $10. I would never sell short into something like that is underlying as the Bitcoin. Okay, now I'd create a position they could be short, but I would never just sell naked short. Roku, Romeo, Oscar, Kilo Uniform, which we're again still short. You notice we have a lot of shorts, right? Because that's what the market's telling us. I said if it gets through 100, and it looks to me like we're finally through this 100. And I think your levels here are 100 on the upside and I think 75 on the downside, and I think that'll take those out too. This is a pretty solid downtrend right here, and that rally was fine, just fine. Okay, that would bring you right back to resistance. I mean, look, if we got to 100 around, I'd be selling right away. Okay, I'm already short, but I'd sell more. Okay, but 80 to 100 or 75 to 100, square dance. Oof, geez, again, this has got down to in the 60s. Okay, 65 it got to, popped back up to about 85. Okay, and I own this in my hedging account. I'm not concerned. I think they'll be fine. But again, you know, we seem to often forget, Andy, that we overreact to both sides of the market. Okay. And I think this is an overreaction, but again, that's what it is, and that's the price we're playing off of. For me, I'd be watching.
He tied his company. He tied Square to, you know, to the blockchain and to Bitcoin and to cryptos, and you know, he's kind of suffering for that from that identity too.
Yeah, and I would say this is, you know, 70 to 90. Okay, and I wouldn't have a problem selling some at 90.
Okay. It looks like Musk is going to he's going to renegotiate his Twitter deal.
You see that stock's down to $38. That was the only good thing about a deal, is if it falls apart, if you're trying to trade that
$1 billion. What's $1 billion to him? It's a drop in a bucket.
Amazing. And SPY, you know, hovering at 400. Look, I think 410 is the resistance level, and I'm confident that 385 is going to get taken out. We're in that. That's the range. I would expect, you know, I'd be a seller at probably 405, 410 again, and sell more. All right. Tango, Quebec, which we don't carry anymore, but we would be short if we did. Again, consolidation. On Saturday, we did put on a double diagonal, a weighted double diagonal, looking for some kind of movement, but I would suspect it would be the downside still. And again, this, like every other levered ETF, if it goes up, it's going to go up a lot slower than it came down, because the multiplier is multiplying into smaller numbers. Very simple. That's the concept that President Biden didn't get with gas and taxes. Okay, when the price of the pump are going up, it gets multiplied by the tax rate as well.
What concept does he get right?
None.
Okay.
Well, he gets stealing pretty right. I mean, he took care of his kids pretty good. Okay.
That's good.
In the meantime, Tesla is ugly all of a sudden as well. Why? Who knows? Okay. Now, I don't trade this. I give you full disclosure. I lost too much here because I would never buy it. I only wanted to be short it because I could never understand the valuation. So I find just, you know what? It's not for me. But as I do cover it every week for you guys, to me, 700 to 800 would be the levels I'd be watching. When? And I saw a headline today about China and gambling and taxes. That didn't sound good.
That doesn't sound like a winning combination.
Especially with with Wynn and Las Vegas Sands having such a big stake in China. But Wynn, I think, will be fine. You know, look, we're short, okay, and I think it's going low. However, okay, I do also own this, and I'm very comfortable. I'm very comfortable buying more. You know, again, because I'm hedging it and I'm looking out to the future, and they're one of the best run organizations. But for here, you know, I'd be looking at 68 as a place to possibly sell more, and I might look at 56. And again, until we get a trigger to be a buyer, I'm only a seller. When I give you the lower level, the support level, or the resistance level we're long, it's just an area where I expect it might slow down a little bit. Okay, and XBI, look at this. I mean, again, we nailed this perfectly all the way down. Now it's just consolidating, and more than likely waiting for the next push lower. Okay. 60 to 70 would be what I'd be watching here. And zoom. Oh, it got through the 100 and there it goes. Okay. So you can bet your ass there's real solid resistance up around 100. And this is probably going back into the 40s before it's all said and done. Okay.
This was like $340, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was 500 actually.
Wow.
Listen, these tech stocks here, it was almost 600. These tech stocks got so overpriced. This is remnant of the
1998.
Okay, so in the meantime, let's just be careful. Again, nothing has changed in our attack of the market with light volume, which we have. It's very tough, and you can't get consistent. And you're not seeing still what we call two-way trade. Okay, that makes it even more challenging. So again, there's plenty of trading to make, but you have to wait for opportunity that basically knocks you over. Oh, you got to make this trade. Okay. If you have anything you want me to look at real quick, I'll be happy to do so. Otherwise, I'll tell you just to be very careful, because again, with this light volume, it's a real major challenge in these markets. I mean, just look at the futures volume as I see some are coming in, so I'll be right there. But look at the futures volume. I mean, this is pathetic. Okay. We should be averaging over 2 million contracts. We're lucky we get there. There's nothing to look at. Peloton, it was over 160, it's $13. Well, of course it was. It's funny. I'll tell you a quick story. I was having dinner with a good friend of mine, and they wanted to buy Peloton, right? I go, look, you can buy it, but for my money, I don't know what they do. And they have nothing that is proprietary. Okay. Their concept has been put out there many times before. Nautilus did it first. I go, look, it may be flying now, but I'd look to be a seller myself, but again, do what you want. And of course, when it went up, after they said they want to buy, and I go, well, whatever. Look, I was wrong, but I wasn't wrong, because it's not $13.
Unbelievable.
So in the meantime, Bitcoin poop more like, well, probably. I mean, look, there's some issues. There's a lot of problems going on here. Thanks, J.O. Look, bottom line is very simple. Okay. We've got things are backwards. They're running backwards, and there's a lot of issues and trouble. Okay. And there isn't a lot of good things to look for. And I'm telling you right now, a lot of the asset classes, like I think gold and Bitcoin, are a couple of them that are getting sold because people need to raise margin money to support their losing positions, which is a terrible thing to do, but that's what they're doing, in my opinion. Okay. In the meantime, everybody have a great week. What about my Camaro? I'm still waiting. My garage, I cleaned it out. I carpeted it for you. I'm still waiting for that the Camaro show. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you around the neighborhood futures, guys. I'll see you in the morning, and everybody else. Andy, thanks.
Thanks.
And I'll see you all. Have a great week, and we'll see you later.